All right. Welcome, everybody. Today's back to school parent information session is about getting informed. So we are going to talk about all of the important news that you need to know about as we head into the start of school. There's always way more information that we share out. So it's really, really important that you read that parent newsletter. We try not to inundate you with multiple emails throughout the week if we can avoid that, so that everything's funneled through one channel. You know it's coming out on Friday, and you know you have time to read that throughout Friday and over the weekend, depending on when we send it. We're also available to answer any questions, but please, please, please take a look at those newsletters when we send those out. With that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as I mentioned before, if you have questions while I am going through this presentation, please go ahead and type them into the chat box. That way I can get through the presentation. I will go through everybody's question at the conclusion of the presentation, and then I will also provide an opportunity for the families or those of you who are on the call to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask them live if you'd like. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. All right, so parents have their own section on the website where we funnel a good portion of the information that everybody needs to know about. And this is in regards to, we talk about attendance, health forms, we'll post information about yearbooks, lunches, stuff like that. Will all be on that parent section of the website. It's then divided into 3 sections. One of those sections is called Getting Informed, and we're going to talk about those topics today. The other 2 topics are Getting Connected and Getting Involved. Now, there are other sections to our website. We do have a students only section. It is not password protected, so anybody can see it, but that information is geared more for students to be able to find the resources that they need. And we also have other sections like under student support services, where you can find out information about counseling, academic counseling, as well as social emotional supports, gifted and talented, and information such as that. And then we also have under About Us, we have more information there, such as our technology page. You can find out about our history, our strategic plan, communications. That's where you can find a good portion of our information. So with that, I just wanted to provide an update on Express Check-in. We have not received any indication that Express Check-in is closed. If you are having technical difficulties with Express Check-in, please submit a ticket through DCSD. Unfortunately, we cannot help with any technical help when it comes to their particular platform. The only thing that we can help with is maybe if you're not seeing your students' information in the system, or if you need that GUID number or the personal ID number. And for that, we're really asking you to please fill out that help request, the Express Check-in help request form for that particular information. The reason why is because we have multiple people that are helping us gather that information to respond back to families to help them, because our registrar is new. This is only her 2nd week, so she is busy enrolling kids and withdrawing kids and handling records requests. And so we have some folks on our team that are assisting with finding that information and getting that out to our families. And so we want to make sure that that's all funneled through that form. Okay, you'll also find instructions on how to set up your portal account. There's a helpful tutorial, as well as how to reset your password. Unfortunately, that's also not something that we can do. So you just have to follow those instructions on how to reset your password. But we're happy to send you that link, which is also available on the homepage of our website in that Express Check-in post that's on our website. So we're going to talk a little bit about attendance in this particular presentation. And as a reminder for those who are just joining, because I am admitting folks continuously right now throughout this presentation, if you have any questions, please put those into the chat box while we're going through this particular presentation. I want to make sure that I get through the presentation first, and then I'll loop back around to those particular questions to answer those, okay? If your student is ill or late, it is very, very important that you call that attendance line. That is really the only way to let us know that your student will not be in school. We do not do email notifications, or we do not have an email address where you can email us. if your student's going to be sick, and we also do not have a form. Reason being is for security purposes. Attendance record keeping is actually a legally binding document that is created between the family and STEM that gets audited by the state. And so we need to keep very accurate records. And in order to do that, we have one pathway, which is you call that phone number, and that puts you through. You can either choose the elementary school front office or the secondary front office, and you can leave a message on that attendance line, and our front office goes through that throughout the day and makes updates to attendance in each student's record. That message should prompt you as to what information they need. So please be sure to call that as early as possible to let us know if your student won't be here. The reason why we ask as early as possible is because there is what's called an auto dialer for attendance that goes out every morning. I believe the auto dialer goes at 8:30, and that allows our front office staff to process through the attendance calls that come in and mark the students who are absent as excused. And that way, if there are any students who are marked absent by the teacher and it is not unexcused, they would be part of that auto dialer list. So you would get a phone call saying, hey, your student is absent today. Or if your student was tardy, you would get a notification about your student being tardy. So if your student is late, and that's after 8 a.m., they must check in at the front desk prior to going to class. Well, I should say at 7:55, they'll already, the inner doors will shut, and students will have to start checking in on that student check-in computer system, okay? After 8 o'clock, that's when they'll need a note from their parents' doctor's office, phone call from the parent or something like that to just say, hey, they were late today. So we do give that kind of 5-minute tardy grace period for them to sign themselves in. And then after 8 o'clock, if it's significantly, again, after 8 o'clock, then we really need some sort of notification from the parent. That attendance line is the best way to do that, okay? Again, we don't do anything by email when it comes to attendance. Elementary students, they must be signed in by a parent if they arrive after 7:45. We shared this yesterday in our drive-line message. Please don't pull up at 7:45 and just, open up the door and send your kids inside. You will have to come in and sign them in, okay? Just so that you know that in advance. We're really trying not to be difficult, but our EA attendants and our instructional assistants, volunteers, they are not outside after 7:45 once we get into normal drive-line procedures, because they do have to be in the classrooms with the teachers, okay? We have an attendance correction form that is an editable PDF form that you can fill out. You save that and attach it to an email to your student's teacher who marked them absent. So you would utilize this form if you're going through your student's attendance record, which I would recommend that you check that often throughout the school year to make sure that you're staying up to date on that. And if you notice that there is an absence where you know that your kiddo either was marked incorrectly by the teacher because they were in school, or if you accidentally forgot to call them in an excused absence, you would complete that attendance correction form and fill that out in its entirety and send it to the teacher who marked them absent. Sometimes it could be like, let's say, for instance, the teacher in the morning marks them absent, but the teacher in the afternoon marks them present. Then you obviously know that the teacher in the morning accidentally made a mistake. So not only do they also enter it on a paper form that then gets submitted to the front office, but the teacher also goes into Infinite Campus and marks students present and absent. So there can be opportunities where there is a mistake made. You would use that attendance correction form in order to get that corrected. And again, that goes to the teacher who potentially made the error. That way they can then double check their records. And then what they would do is submit the signed and completed attendance correction form to the appropriate front office for processing, okay? Truancy. So we want to make sure that this is a new slide from last year's presentation. We want to make sure that all of our families know that there is a truancy policy. It's not just a STEM policy. It is a district and a CDE requirement when it comes to attendance for students. So if your student has 3 or more unexcused absences in a semester, you will get a phone call from one of the building directors. And that is the first step in the truancy process, okay? If your absences are at or over 10% for the semester, you will get a letter, okay? So if your contact information is not correct in the system, the building directors will do everything that they possibly can to reach out using the information that is in Infinite Campus or your parent portal to reach out to parents. The next step is that letter. So if you get that letter and you didn't get a phone call, please kindly, we ask that you reach out to the school director. We also ask that you double check your information in Infinite Campus to make sure that we have the correct information. So that way we are sending and calling the appropriate contact, okay? Attendance is crucial for each student's success. It's also a requirement for that we have to meet certain reporting requirements, not only for the district, but for the state as well. So it's a hand-in-hand process between the parent, the student, the teacher, and our school. We'd also have what's called an extended absence form. That is in case your student will not be at school for a prolonged period of time for travel, medical, etc. So before you complete this particular form, we do ask that you please set up a time to meet with the teacher and also the building director. So that would either be the high school, the middle school, or the elementary school director, so that they are aware and that everybody is on the same page as to what you're asking for when it comes to an extended absence. This is super important because if we don't know that your student is going to be gone for a certain number of consecutive days, then we will begin the process of unenrolling your student. And we don't want that to happen to anybody. So it's really important that we are notified that you are exploring the option for an extended absence form, okay? So again, contact the administration with the dates of absence. It's also good to set up a conference with the teacher to develop some sort of plan for your student on how they can keep up to date with their schoolwork. We've had it before in the past where families have had a family emergency where they've either had to go out of the state or out of the country, and the teachers have arranged with the family an academic kind of guide and plan of what the students should be doing for those periods of time, how they should be submitting their work and what work they're going to be doing. But you have to complete this extended absence process form first before you can just go out of the country, okay? Early dismissal. And before I keep going, I just want to remind folks who just joined that if you have questions as I'm going through this presentation, to please type them in the chat box and I'll come back to them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so early dismissal. Student will be excused to leave a class with an early leave pass that they can get from the front office. They can exchange a note from a parent for the pass at the front office. So if you know that your kiddo has a doctor's appointment, you can send a note with them in the morning. They just give that to the front office. They'll get an early dismissal pass. You can also call the front office and give them a heads up to say, hey, today at 1 o'clock, I need to dismiss my student. Advance notice is always great. That gives us the opportunity to prepare the teacher as well. We want to try and avoid as many disruptions to the teacher and the classroom environment as possible. So the more we know in advance, the more we can prep the teacher, the better it is. But definitely let the front office know, that way they can track it. And that way they can inform the teacher. For our elementary school students in particular, we ask that instead of the note that you do call the front office. Our youngest kiddos lose those notes quite often. And then it just creates a very stressful environment for them when, we're trying to get them out the door and they don't know where they're going. They don't know where the note went. So for our elementary kiddos, we do ask it's easier if you call and give us a heads up that you're coming to pick them up early. Okay, you can see there the course of action that I have listed. What creates the least amount of disruption to the classroom is really easy, just pick them up during or schedule the pickups during the passing period. That way we don't have to call into the classroom and disrupt instructional time. Send a note with your student so that they can get that early dismissal pass, okay? We really, really request that any unscheduled early pickups not happen after 1:15, okay? So an unscheduled pickup is, you know, if let's say you forgot about a doctor's appointment and it's at 2 o'clock, we ask that you please come pick them up before 1:15 or notify us before 1:15. There's a lot of stuff that happens toward the end of the school day that makes it a little bit more challenging for the front office staff to be able to track down students and to get the information to the teachers with enough notice. Okay, our front office also starts to transition into dismissal, as well as preparing for after school activities after that 1:15 timeframe. Athletic events begin to happen, field trips start to come back. So there's a lot of moving parts that that when we have unscheduled visits, just kind of after that 1:15 mark, just makes it a little bit difficult. And then we can't provide great customer service to our families. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about some of, if your kiddo is sick, when they should not come to school. I know we're coming out of COVID, and so some of this is kind of getting back into the swing of when do I send my kiddo to school and when do I not. So what we have listed here, they should not come to school or be prepared that they will be sent home if they exhibit any of the following things there that are listed. You know, we still are experiencing some COVID-like symptoms and illnesses. So while we we are not under any COVID restrictions anymore, if we have COVID-like symptoms, which some of them fall on this particular list, you will get a phone call to come pick up your kiddo. We do ask, please don't send them to school if they have any of these things, because we are an incubator here and everything spreads very, very fast. I will say my first year at STEM, I caught absolutely everything because it just spread so incredibly quickly inside the school with just, you know, movement and what, you know, people touch. We do our best to clean throughout the day. But some of these illnesses, they do spread fairly quickly. Okay. Here are some, here's an outline of when your student can return to school. After 24 hours of medication for the following conditions, there's that list there. And then we also want to make sure that they have been free of the following conditions. The biggest one really is fever and eye drainage. We do a couple of times a year get a rash of pink eye that spreads through the school. That is one that's easily contagious, so please keep that in mind. We also get the stomach bug that goes around a lot. So just keep that in mind. We will start to hit that season once we get into September and October. So we will continue to try and remind families that if your kiddos are experiencing any symptoms whatsoever, to please keep them home. It just kind of, it's inevitable that kids will get sick, but it helps us stem the tide of things being spread around the school if they stay home for a day. Okay. Now I want to touch on our visitors and our volunteers. We get questions about this a lot. We will have a separate information session on how you can become a volunteer, how you can make donations, and how you can get involved. That's later this week. But I do want to inform families of what we do when visitors come. We have a Raptor check-in system. That's our background check system. Every visitor that comes into the building that does not have a STEM badge or is not a student of STEM will have to go through our Raptor check-in system. And that requires some sort of identification that we then scan in the system, okay? So it's really important if you come to school, easiest form of identification is your driver's license. So please make sure that you have that on you when you come in the door. Oftentimes we do have families are like, oh, I left it in my car. We will make you go back out to the car and go grab that if you are trying to get inside of those inner set of security doors, okay? This also applies to any vendors that come into the building. So we do have anybody who's trying to access past that third set of security doors will need to be background checked in that system. And then they will get a printed badge that they'll have to wear visibly throughout their time at STEM. We will collect that badge once they leave. Okay. What makes it really, really helpful for us is when you have an appointment to either meet with somebody and the front office knows about it, that really speeds up the process. In addition to having, if you're coming to volunteer, that you've signed up to volunteer. Okay. When we touch on that later this week on our getting involved section, we will touch on how we have sign up forms for all of our volunteer opportunities. And that's where you will put your name and what you're signing up for, and then that goes to the front office, and then they know and you're coming. Okay. I want to touch a little bit on virtual weather days. So as we went into last year, in previous years, prior to last year, when the district would call for a snow day, we would also have a snow day. Going into last year, in order to account for the possibility of having to add some additional days to our calendar, we didn't want to have to do that as other schools did when they had to be shut down for COVID. So we instituted a policy of when Douglas County had a snow day, we would have a virtual day. Currently, that process and that procedure is still in place. We have not changed that yet. The administration team is looking into that. So if that does change, we will notify all of our families via the parent newsletter. As of right now, and as we head into this school year, you can see right there, if the district calls a snow day, we will have a virtual day. Okay. But just know, I know that this policy, this change did not go over well with some families. Just know that they are looking into that. Nothing has been changed yet, okay? Late start days, we will also have a virtual school day, and that has always been our policy, okay? If Douglas County school buildings are open, we will also be open unless our calendar says otherwise. I believe we deviate from Douglas County by maybe 2 days, and one of those is right when we come back from winter break. We have a professional planning day. The district usually goes right into the school year. So we usually give 1 day for our teachers when we come back from winter break to where they can have that planning day to get ready for the new semester. So only in very rare circumstances do we deviate from the Douglas County calendar. Technology support is the next topic. We've been pushing out this content in our newsletter. So if you have any questions about resources for new families, how to get kind of connected to technology here at STEM, laptop requirements, we have quick start guides to systems, and more information about the student privacy data and all the different laws, SIPA, FERPA, and I think there's 2 others, and I'm just not remembering the acronyms right now. You can find all of that on our technology support page, and you can see that web address there. It's under About Us, okay? Our tech team is here to help students, staff, and also our families. The best way to go about doing that is by submitting a support ticket, which I believe is on my next slide, so I'll cover that then. If you are new to STEM, your student will have 2 emails. One of them is an s.dcsck12.org, and the other one is a STEM email in the format of first name dot last name at s.stemk12.org. Okay. Very rare circumstances will they have to use their DCSD email. I believe only in years past, I've heard if they're doing iReady testing or anything like that, they'll need to log into their DCSD emails. However, we do cover that in the training with our teachers to where they provide help for students to access that DCSD email account if they can't do it using their STEM student email account. Okay. You can access their student email account by going to mail.google.com. Their default password is STEM1234. We ask that, and the students will also have an opportunity through Spartan Launch to set up their email accounts. So they will get this information as well. But if you want to go ahead and work with your students on that, you can. If you are having some difficulty, I have on the next slide how you can submit a support ticket. I would give our IT department a little bit of time, maybe try toward the end of the week. They are going through onboarding with our teachers today. Today is the first day back for all staff, outside of our subs and our instructional assistants. So they are in the process of checking out computers and technology equipment and stuff like that. So they probably will not respond today. Now, Canvas is the LMS, the learning management system that we use. And that's where all of our teachers run their courses, okay? And that's for grades, I believe, 2 through 12. Kindergarten and first grade, I believe, are still using Google Classroom. The teachers of grades K through 1 will work with students to get them set up, and they will also communicate that to families directly, okay? But in the interim, you would log into Campus using that stem.instructure.com. You can go to the quick guide systems on that tech support page on our website to find out how to access Canvas as a parent. So the students will have an account, and then you also have the ability as a parent to have a Canvas account in order to see your students' courses. And you don't have as much functionality as the students do. So you're essentially an observer of your student's account. Now, I will say we do have a lot of questions coming at us right now about student schedules. Please be patient. As soon as the counselors turn that switch on in Infinite Campus, they have already notified me that they will let me know when that happens, and I will send out a message to all families to let you know when schedules are available in Infinite Campus, okay? So here is how you can submit a support ticket if you are having difficulty with anything IT STEM related. That is the best way to reach them. They have 3 IT help desk technicians here on site that can help go through those tickets. The start of the school year, it might take them some time to process through all those tickets. So just please be patient. Everybody's trying to learn the same thing and get back into the swing of things. If you're returning, you haven't been doing it for 2 months, so you might have forgotten. Okay, how to use Canvas. There is a YouTube link here. This is also on the IT page, but when I PDF these, you'll have access to, this is just another way to access that tutorial on how to use Canvas from a parent's perspective, okay? And then Infinite Campus is the other platform that you and your student, or that you will be able to use. It's the Infinite Campus is the portal that houses all of the information, and it speaks to Canvas, okay? You wouldn't log into Infinite Campus to access your students' coursework, okay? Infinite Campus would be where you would see their attendance records, you would see their grades once they're posted, you would see their schedule. That's what you would use IC for, update student contact information, parent information, that kind of thing. Canvas is what you'll see, what you'll use to observe how their courses are going, okay? So just so that you understand what those 2 things are. There is a parent app, IC app, that you can download to your smartphone. Okay, and there are some instructions on how you can go ahead and set everything up. I will post this PDF presentation to our back to school information hub. This information is also on that technology page. So multiple ways to find the information. I'm gonna, one thing that I don't have on there is the pairing code. We will share out that pairing code. IT will, as we get closer to the start of the school year. Again, we have to kind of do everything in phases. So right now they're focusing on getting the staff set up, because part of it is we have to make sure that the staff gets set up and access to their courses so they can start uploading, so that parents and students can start seeing their schedules, okay? So just know that everything's gonna roll out at very specific times. So in the lunch program, what I wanna touch on right now, we contract our lunch services through Douglas County Nutrition Services. So there's 2 menus right there. There's a K through 5 lunch menu and a 6 through 12 lunch menu. We do not serve breakfast. Okay, and for high school, we only offer grab and go style, and high school is 9 through 12. High school students also have the option during lunch to go off campus if they'd like. Okay, we do have an open campus. Okay, middle school has access to a cafeteria. High school can access those grab and go items in the high school commons. It's set up a little bit more like how you would find in a college student union types environment. Elementary school also has its own cafeteria. Okay, breakfast, like I said, is not served at STEM. And the one big thing that we want to point out to all of our families, we've been sharing this in the parent newsletter, is that lunch is no longer free for the 22-23 school year. So your options are to either send your student to school with a lunch, or you can load their My School Bucks with money. They will not take cash and they will not take credit card. Okay, so please keep in mind that, that you know what your options are before you send your kiddos to school. The one thing that Douglas County is asking all families to do, regardless of whether you qualify or not, is to fill out that free and reduced lunch application. They are trying to collect data. They want to share that data with the state in order to provide the state with options on how to move forward with potentially going back to offering free lunches. But in order to do that, they need to collect that information. The big thing when you're filling out that free and reduced lunch form is that you please check the box to share the information with your student's school. The form is a DCSD form. And so we don't have control and we don't see the form unless you elect for that option for us to be able to see the information that you submitted. That information only goes to one person in our business office. And what she does is she has a free and reduced lunch list. She has very limited access to the actual data that she sees, but she communicates out to those families to provide them with additional benefits that go along with a free and reduced lunch program. Okay, one of those benefits could be that the field trip fees are waived. School trip fees are waived if you are part of that program. There's also other opportunities. For instance, we're looking into doing a lab sign up for a Google Chromebook if you qualify for free and reduced lunch, where your student would be able to keep that Chromebook. They would sign it out from our IT department and they would be able to keep it for the duration of their time at STEM. If they were to leave STEM to go to another school, they would need to return that Chromebook. So those are just some examples of the extra benefits that are afforded to the families who are part of the free and reduced lunch program when the information is shared with us via that form. But again, you have to check that box so that that information is shared with us. Okay, there are a la carte options, available in both the middle school and the elementary school cafeterias for students to buy additional pieces of food items in addition to that what you get for the $3.25 in elementary and the $3.75 in middle school. Okay, so again, they will use that through their My School Bucks account and they just type in their student ID number. We are also looking into adding a barcode scanner to the student IDs so that the lunchroom can scan the student ID cards to speed up the process. But as soon as we have that ready to go, we will inform our parents of what the process is. Okay, health services, immunizations, we follow the same immunization policies as DCSD. You must have your immunization forms on file prior to the start of the school. So this is really important. If you were not able to submit this or complete this through Express Check-in, it's really important to reach out to our school nurse so that she has this on file. One of the reasons is we do need to know if there's any student that has a life-threatening illness that when they come into the building, that is a big component that we need to know about. For example, in years past, we have had students that were deathly allergic when it came to animals. And so we would have to inform teachers of what pets they could have as a class pet in their classroom. If we had service dogs coming in, we currently do have a therapy dog at STEM. Her name is Daisy. She is allowed to be in the school building this year because we do not have any indication that there is a student with a life-threatening allergy. But if that changes, because if somebody submits a form to indicate that, then Daisy will only be allowed to, her services will only be allowed to be used outside of the school building or in very specific areas of the school building. So just want to make sure that we shared that particular information, that those forms are really important to make sure that you turn those in. There's 2 ways to file a non-medical waiver exemption, okay? And those are those 2 options that you can complete there. They're also listed on our website that was newly instituted last year. Parents of students in grades K through 12 claiming a non-medical exemption must file one annually. So if you filed one last year, you need to please, please, please do that again. The email address for our nurse is nurse@stemk12.org. Okay. Let's see. We're going to touch a little bit on the over-the-counter prescription medication policies. So our health room cannot pass out over-the-counter medication. So it's really important that if your student needs something of that nature, that you do follow either the elementary school policy or the secondary policy, then they're outlined there, okay? And there are forms in where you can send your student to school with medication that we store in our health room. And your student can then access those medications when needed through the health assistant, okay? And you set up a plan that way. You would do all of that through nurse@stemk12.org. Each year, we have to do vision and hearing screenings. We will share out when those will be happening through the parent newsletter. It's also during that time that we ask for our parent volunteers to help us with that, because sometimes we do have to go to classrooms and grab groups of students to bring them down. So be on the lookout for that, because that's another great way where you can get involved. And it's not a very big time commitment. We do them over a course of 2 days, but it is an outside company that we contract with. So a lot of times we do not have flexibility on the dates. So please keep that in mind. Important documents and forms, you can find that on our Get Informed page under that parent tab. You can see that web address there. There's a health services tab and everything's located there. I want to touch a little bit about our BASE program in elementary. It's run through the Douglas County School District. So we do not actually run this elementary BASE program. They utilize our facility, which is our elementary school cafeteria. Now, they need to have at least 1 qualified teacher for every 15 students on site. That is their policy. And I believe it's also a policy that the authorizing agency has placed on them as well for safety. They are hiring. And so in order for us to be able to accommodate our elementary school families, we really need people to sign up to work for BASE in order for us to be able to take in more students. Right now, I believe they only have 2 people as part of their BASE program, which means that they can only take 30 students. Okay, so if you're finding it hard to get into BASE, it's because they do not have the staff or enough staff in order to accept more students. They would love to take as many students as they possibly can, but they need more staff in order to be able to accommodate that. So we've listed the 2 positions here that they have available. They're also located on our website, which is on our employment page. And then I've also been promoting them in our weekly parent newsletter. If you know of somebody, it's really it would be after school commitment for a couple of hours. And as you can see there, one of the positions is about 30 hours a week. And I think at this point, they would be flexible with maybe having multiple roles if somebody can't commit to an entire week. So let's say we have somebody who's retired who would just like to, make some extra money on the side. This might be a great opportunity to get some hours after school. But if you could please help us spread the word, or else we can't really help our parents anymore with that after school care. And I know it's very difficult. The contact information for Amy Dupays is right there. And she is absolutely wonderful. And she runs that BASE program through the school district. So our after school care that we host here at STEM, we have a before and after school care, but that is only for secondary students. So elementary after school care is run through BASE. And then for secondary, we do have a before and an after school care. The before care is typically the service that our families utilize when they have an elementary school student and they're dropping their secondary student off at the same time. So let's say the parent is dropping their kiddos off at 7:15, but secondary doesn't start until 7:50. Their secondary student would go into our before school care program. Okay, there's information there, who you can contact and how you set up your account. It's the same process for after school care. We do have an attendant that comes in specifically for after school care and runs that particular program. It is kind of like a drop-in, you pay as you go, and you would do that through that Smart Care account. Okay, and I believe I have the fees for before school care is $2 that goes from 7 to 7:30. And then we have afternoon, the Spartan afternoon program, and that goes from 2:55 to 6. And that's at 8 o'clock. Both of those programs are run through our middle school, are housed in our middle school cafeteria. And we're really excited this year that with the way that the progress that construction is going, we do have our entry and exit to our middle school cafeteria back open. Middle school cafeteria is brand new this year. And so it'll be nice, easy access for secondary students that are being dropped off with their elementary siblings in the morning to take advantage of that program. Now that program can also be used for secondary students whose parents are dropping them off between 7 and 7:30, even if they don't have an elementary school sibling. But typically the parent, it typically gets utilized by our elementary families who also have a student in secondary. Now after 6 p.m., there is $1 a minute late fee charge, and that is because the attendant who is in there is contracted for a certain number of hours that we pay for. And so anything additional to that would be overtime for that particular attendant. So we do charge $1 a minute for that. So in order to account for that overtime for that person who is in there. All right, I want to touch briefly on the student parent handbook. I know it's been difficult going through Express Check-in, but you would read through this during Express Check-in. There is, I believe we have parents sign, but I could be wrong. I thought the last I knew is we had parents sign off on the parent handbook, but it's also really good that everybody goes through and takes a look at what is inside the student parent handbook. It can be lengthy, but it's also a good reference. We have it on that Get Informed page. So it's a link there where you can click on it. You can find everything from our daily schedules, how our office works, academics, curriculum, and accountability, that particular department. That is not where the course catalog is, okay? So there is a difference. The course catalog for secondary is located on the secondary counseling, the academic counseling page, okay? You can find more information about student services, our student support team, and then whistleblower policy, how to file a grievance and complaints. There's compliance information in there. And then there's information about our dress code. And new this year is we've always printed student IDs in the past. However, what we're going to start to pilot this year is instituting the use and the display of our students wearing their student ID badges, okay? So we will print the first badge for all students on picture day. Aside from our kindergarten students, we have a separate day for kindergarten because they are going through Spartan Launch on those 2 photo days. And we will have student ID cards printed from those photos. A makeup date is going to be available in October if somebody misses that. And then we will provide lanyards. They are breakaway lanyards to all students. We are going to really work with our students to display their badges when they come in. And this is a security measure that we have been working with the district in order to implement. And this is a recommendation that is coming from them as well. So our administration team and our teachers are really excited about this because this is also really helpful for them to know and get to know students as well. So I am now going to move into the question portion of the presentation. I'm going to go through the chat box real quick, and then I'll open it up to folks to unmute themselves. Let me go through that chat box real quick. It looks like, would an alert go out if a student is missing during a class within the day? And I'm assuming that is for attendance. And no, we don't do attendance that regularly throughout the day. A teacher will go through at the beginning of every class period and take attendance. The attendance is only submitted to the front office in the morning, and that's for verification to get the day going. And it's another double check to make sure what the teacher has entered into Infinite Campus is accurate. And then the auto dialer goes out in the morning. There's not another afternoon auto dialer. Okay. Do scheduled absences count toward the 10% of the semester? They do not. So please make sure that you are using that attendance line in order to excuse those absences. Now, if there are a number, let's say we go back to that 10 consecutive days of excused absences, that's where we then need to explore, is there a reason, a medical reason, or is there something to where we need to put in that extended absence form. And again, a lot of this is because these are state requirements through CDE that attendance is pretty strict. I know some people are under a different impression, but we do get audited quite frequently, that we are following all the rules and regulations when it comes to attendance and how we keep track of everything. Unfortunately, it is a little rudimentary. So in the past, we have asked, hey, can we just get a form that they fill out, or can we get an email? But there's no way on the other end to account for who is actually completing the form or who is submitting the email. So that is why we only do the phone number where families can leave a message, or throughout the day if they call the front office and excuse that absence. So. Okay. So if you are having difficulty of completing express check-in because you don't see that as an option, that if you can get into express check-in and you're not able to see express check-in as an option for you, go ahead and complete that STEM express check-in help form, and then we'll see if it's something on our end. I don't believe that I could be wrong, and we're in constant communication with the district. That might be something on our end, where we just need to make sure that the relationship setting is turned on for the parent that is trying to log in. Sometimes the paperwork comes in and a primary parent is set up, and maybe that's not the parent that is going to be doing all of the paperwork and staying on top and on track of everything. So sometimes that's as easy as going in and making sure that the other parent is checked in the system to ensure that they can go in and really be on top of everything. So please, for that particular one, if you can get into Express Check-in, but you just can't see the Express Check-in link, go ahead and fill that Express Check-in help form. That way we can reach back out to you and see if that's something on our end that we can fix. I touched a little bit on that pairing code. We'll let you know when that's available. That will be probably closer to the end of this coming week. So just be on the lookout for that. My goal is to get that information into the newsletter. All grades in high school can go off campus. I know for sure 10th through 12th grade, 9th graders, I believe they can, but most of the time they don't exercise that option available to them because they might not have it built into their schedule just yet. So a lot of times that option to go off campus is when they have a free period. So most of our upperclassmen, so our 11th and 12th graders, are ones who have that free period built into their class schedule, and that's where they go off campus. Keep in mind that lunch is really not that long. So when students do go off campus for lunch, they are really hustling to get off campus. And a lot of times they're, pre-ordering their lunch at Chick-fil-A or Starbucks. One person or two people runs out and then they're coming running back with all of this food for everybody because not everybody can make it. So just keep that in mind. But yes, we do have an open campus for our high school students. Okay. Let's see. Does the grab and go for free lunch for high schools? So if your student is part of the free and reduced lunch program, then they would be able to take part in that grab and go option as well. But they would have to do that when they punch in their lunch number, the nutrition services employee would be able to assist them with that. Okay, is the Chromebook option available this year for free lunch recipients? It is. We haven't. I'm waiting for the IT department to get me the official language of how that program's going to launch, and so be on the lookout for that in the parent newsletter on Friday. Student ID numbers. So if you have not, if this question is in regards to you're trying to get through Express Check-in and you have your students new to STEM or new to the district, fill out that STEM Express Check-in help form. That way we can get you that GUID number. Otherwise, your student's ID number is inside your parent portal. Okay, if you're already a student at STEM, you should be able to see that 6-digit number when you log into that parent portal. So immunization records, there should have been an option as you went through Express Check-in to do that. The other way that you can do it is you can email them to nurse@stemk12.org. Okay. So the picture information for kindergartners. So this year we were very fortunate to get one of the first dates available from the photographer. But what we realized is that we have kindergarten Spartan Launch over 3 days and we only have picture day on 2 days. So what we are doing is kindergartners will all have their picture taken in October. We have a retake day already set for that day. And what that does is that allows our kindergartners to get more used to being in school. It's less stressful. You know, they already know the schedule of what's happening. We do have another spring retake day where you can get their school photo retaken if you don't like the one that was taken in October. So that's just for the kindergarten. They will not be taken on the first 2 days of school, just because we didn't want to have one group of kindergarten families have that opportunity and not the last group that's coming for kindergarten Spartan Launch on the 11th. So if you could just be patient with us in that regard. Parents will have the opportunity to take photos of their kiddos on the first day of school. We have a whole event planned, Tissues and Tears. And so we do make a nice little event out of it. So you will have the opportunity to take some photos of your student at school in their first day school attire. So there are opportunities to at least capture some photos. Students in grades first grade through 12th grade, picture day is on the 9th and the 10th. Please look at that information in the newsletter. You do have the option to pre-purchase your packages. I would highly recommend that. That way you're already in the system. A new student will sign up for, they'll go through signing up and getting their Canvas account and everything on the first day of, on that Spartan Launch. So just know if you're not able to follow the instructions that is on the IT page, if it's not specific to students, they will have the, they will go through how to set up their Canvas account during Spartan Launch on Monday, the 8th. Schedules will be released today. Please be patient with us. There is a setting that has to be done, that has to be turned on in Infinite Campus, but the counselors are making sure that when they release the schedules, they are as clean as they can get them up until now. One of the biggest hurdles is that, you know, we're still adding a few teachers into the system. That's just the nature of teaching right now and the nature of this time of the year. And so we don't want to release schedules where there are either missing teachers or students have, you know, big gaps in their schedule. So the counselors are going through, and this is, and teachers are going through and making sure that students are in classes before we go ahead and open those up. I have already communicated with our counseling team that as soon as they have it ready to go, they're going to send me a message and then I will send out a school messenger message. So you're not missing anything just yet. Nothing has been opened. So health and immunization records, you can find all of those and what's required on that health tab on Get Informed. And they're also If you went through Express Check-in, it also lists out what those required forms are. And then I've also included them in both of those news update sections for elementary and secondary in the parent newsletter. So students, again, will learn how to access Canvas on their first day of school. The Spartan Launch, it's on, so that I make sure that I answer this correctly. Spartan Launch for grades 1 through 12. That is going to be on Monday, August 8th. Please take a look at our calendar to make sure that you see what time frame it is. And there is a difference between the 1st through 5th grade Spartan Launch and then the 6th through 12 Spartan Launch. Okay, elementary, you don't need to sign up for a Spartan Launch. You just come at your designated time. 6th through 12, you do need to sign up so that we have an idea of how many students we're expecting. And we can give the teachers a heads up as well. Okay, kindergarten Spartan Launch, please be sure to check the calendar and the website and the newsletter. Those are spread out over 3 different days. So please make sure that you're taking, that you look at that particular post about kindergarten Spartan Launch because the sign up for that is different, okay? Hearing and vision tests, they will send out specifically what grades they are doing when. Sometimes it is a requirement that we focus on a specific grade or multiple grades. So that once we share out that information, we'll include which grades will be doing it. And I believe parents will also have the opportunity, even if it's not a grade that we're necessarily testing, they will have the opportunity to opt into that as well. Okay. Spartan Launch for all kids is going to be a drop-off event. So it's just the kiddos and it's just our teachers. Unfortunately, no parents. We want to give students the opportunity to already start forging those relationships with their teachers, get familiar with the building, kind of teach a little bit of that independence before it gets so crazy on the first day of school. So please know that these are all of them are drop-off events. Okay, so again, if you're trying to go through that Express Check-in, and I'm going through these questions, so I already answered one about Express Check-in. So if you're having if you're able to get in, but you're not seeing Express Check-in, please complete that STEM Express Check-in help form so that we can help you with that. An unexcused absence is an absence that we don't know is coming, that the parent hasn't notified us is coming. An excused absence would be one where the parent has called in advance to say, hey, my kiddo has this appointment, or hey, we're going out of town. They're going to be marked as absent. I excuse this absence, okay? So attendance does start from the first day of school. Okay, so please keep that in mind. If you are enrolled at STEM, you want to start sending your kiddos on that first day of school. If you know that you are not going to be here on that first day of school, you'll want to call that attendance line. That way we know, that way we're not marking them absent. So you can go ahead and excuse that first day. Okay, if it's going to be where you're not starting for an extended period of time, then we would want to start that extended absence process. And as I outlined what that looked like, that would be reaching out to either the classroom teacher or classroom teachers, and then also reaching out to the building director or the school director. You would have to, there's a question about limiting the extra food students can purchase at lunch. You have the ability to set how much money you want to put into your My School Bucks account. Unfortunately, I don't know the inner workings of My School Bucks. I don't have a student. I have a niece and a nephew at STEM, but I'm not able to see what the parent's account looks like. You can limit the amount of money. So if they're out of money and you can turn off the reoccurring, they just won't be able to purchase anything. So that might be a conversation with your kiddo to say, you can only spend $5 today. Trust me, I know it's hard. My nephew has autism and is super friendly and just loves to buy lunch for everybody. So my sister goes through this all the time, to where she is having to have that conversation to stop buying food for others. Express check-in, just one parent needs to do it, but you just need to verify the information for both parents. Now, if you are a split household, I would recommend doing express check-in, but if you are a joint household, only one person in that household needs to do it. But however the paperwork was submitted, so a split household, there will be identifiers in Infinite Campus where there is a primary household and a secondary household. So then both the primary and the secondary would need to be able to complete express check-in, because that's your opportunity as the secondary household to confirm your information. So there's a question, well, there are a lot of questions in the chat box, so I'm so sorry. I'm going to try and get through all of these. There's a question about if a high school student misses a class and not getting notified. So, you know, this is one of those things about being an open campus and having that discussion with your student, that if they are going off campus and they sign themselves out, that they're also notifying their parents that they have signed themselves out and where they're going. Our system is not set up to track the student when they don't sign back in, because students have the ability, they do take courses that are off campus, so they do sign themselves out when they do that, okay? So we do try and provide as much advance notice when it comes to weather-related situations. And so in the event that we know that there's a winter storm coming, it's high likely that, you know, we will be on a virtual day. We do provide that information to send to our teachers to get the Chromebooks set up to be sent home to students. Sometimes we don't have we don't have the ability to do that K through 12. Kindergartners, I believe, use iPads. So there is I believe that teachers have a checkout system for that. And then in grades 6 through 12, students should have their own laptop. So we do provide that as an option when we have enough advance notice when it comes to weather, that they can take a Chromebook home with them if they need it. I already touched on student schedules. So we hope to have the information in Pick My Kid by the end of the day. They are working right now on just making sure that the students are appropriately assigned to each class. As you can imagine, everything is kind of a chain reaction. As soon as we get teachers in the system and as soon as we get students in the system, then we start opening up the different portals of how we release information to all these different apps that we use. So if you are having difficulty with seeing your student, it also could be that the information that we have in Infinite Campus might not be syncing correctly with Pick My Kid, because that's where we get the information from. So there is that help form on that Pick My Kid page. So we ask that you please fill that out if you're not seeing your kiddo. I would give it another 24 hours. And then if you're still not seeing your kiddo, then go ahead and complete that form. There's not really a whole lot of information that I can give in regards to the math placement test for tomorrow. We share that information in our parent newsletters. It's on our calendar. There are 2 different time slots that you can sign up for. These are for students who are new to STEM, who we don't have either a test score for, or those who want to test for to be placed in a different math class. So you would sign up and on that form and then attend at the time that you signed up. For the pictures, you can fill out if you want to go ahead and pre-purchase now and say, hey, I just want to get it out of the way. You can totally fill out your picture order form now. And then when it comes time for your kiddo to have their picture taken in October for the kindergartners, your order will be placed then. We've already given DR Photos, who is our photographer, a heads up about that. Students will be able to see, parents will be able to see their schedules in their students' schedules in Infinite Campus. Once students get access to Canvas, they will be able to see their schedule in there, okay? So if you want to, we highly recommend that you share your student, you either print it out or you let them take a look at it in your parent portal account, okay? So elementary base, I don't know what the fee is off the top of my head, but I would take a look at that base program page. It's on, we have one on our website, and they will have their fees listed. They run their website through Douglas County School District. We just link it to ours. So some locker fees have been assigned to My School Bucks. We are, as you can imagine, it's beginning of the school year with Express Check-in not working. We realized that a couple of other settings were turned off from the school district in some of our other apps. So that's what's been delaying the fees getting uploaded into My School Bucks. We have access back now, and our business office assistant has been submitting all of those fees throughout today in My School Bucks. Please make sure that your contact information is up to date in My School Bucks. That way you receive an email notification when your invoice is ready. Okay, so she should have student fees done by this afternoon, and then later on today, she's going to make sure that all the locker fees and the student parking pass fees are also uploaded. It looks like only partials were uploaded of both, but because we were not able to gain access to our STEM account to My School Bucks, we weren't able to see who had fees loaded where. We were only going off of information that we were given by the district. Okay. So for off-campus lunch, they would do a quick checkout and check in, so that way we know they went off campus for lunch. Will students be able to change an elective? There is a scheduled change request. They do have the option to submit a scheduled change request for an elective. However, you know, it's kind of one of those things, just because they ask for that schedule change doesn't mean that we can actually accommodate it. So we always say just submit the request, and then our counselors will work with the student in order to see if they can make that change, so and make it work with their schedule. Okay, it's as you can imagine, if you move one here, then you got to fill that hole, and you know, you might not have something available that you want to take all at the same time. So there's a lot of moving parts there. The link for carpool matching, I will be sending that out later today. We received the secure link late yesterday. And we also spoke to DCSD. So if you have not gone through Express Check-in, or if you have the ability to kind of go through it again, they have added it to the forms section of Express Check-in. And we're also working to get them to add it back into the parent portal on the forms tab. So you can poke around there and see if that's an option now. I know they were working on it for us, but I will send out a notification to families today that has that secure link in it. Yes, Way to Go is the website. However, in order to be part of our STEM carpool program, you have to use the secure link or have the school code in order to see other STEM families. Yes, it asks for the school order form does ask for a homeroom teacher. That's so that when if you have the package, it's helpful for them in order to match up the student and do a double verification that they have this correct student name with the package. And it's also good that they know that for when pictures are delivered to the school to then be distributed to the students. However, if you don't know what that is yet, I would hold off on ordering your class photo. That link will be active for a period of time, even after photo day. So don't feel like you need to get it submitted by the 9th or by the 10th. New students, no, they do not need to be able to access Canvas or their email before Spartan Launch. They will go through all of that during Spartan Launch. Kindergarten teachers will not be assigned to students today. That is why you are going through Spartan Launch, is so that the kindergarten teachers can assess your students while they are here, and then they will assign them to the appropriate teacher. And that information was shared in the Kindergarten Spartan Launch post on the website and in the newsletter. On our website, on that parent information page, that form for free and reduced lunch is there. It's also in the parent newsletter, both in the secondary and elementary news and updates section. I believe we also have it on that back to school information hub. Math assessment is for secondary, and that sign up forms, again, they are in the secondary and elementary news and updates section of the newsletter. They're also on the all school calendar. So when you complete that free and reduced lunch form, there should be information on how you submit that. The only thing that we're asking is that you please check the box on that form, read it carefully, because I don't know exactly where it is on the form. You check the box that says you would like for your information to be shared with us, so with your student's school. You will not know your students. I'm not sure how to answer this particular question because I don't know what grade the student is in, but you won't see your students' teachers quite yet until we release schedules. Okay. And then you don't need to send anything, and this is in regards to academic fees. When it comes to free and reduced lunch, you just filling out that form and making sure that you check that box that it shares it with us. You should not need to send anything additional to us. The district then, what they do is once the form is processed, they release the students and the families who have checked that box, they release that information to us directly. Okay, so I've gotten through all the questions in the chat box. I appreciate your patience. I will open it up to families. I am going to stay on for probably about another 10 minutes to answer questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and close this information session. So if you have a question you'd like to unmute, feel free to do so now. I would say if you don't have any questions, then feel free to log off. I will post the recap video to this to our webpage later today, along with a PDF of the presentation. And again, it will also be shared out in the parent newsletter on Friday. Okay. There's a question, are we still doing volunteer hours for families? Yes. And then how many hours per family? I believe it's 20. I think that's my presentation tomorrow. It's either getting connected or getting involved tomorrow, and then the next one's on Thursday. So we will specifically highlight those two answers to those two particular questions in those presentations, as well as, you know, how you can get involved, like the different opportunities that we currently have available. And then if you can't come into the building to volunteer, how you can, how donations can help to supplement those volunteer hours. But you can also find all of that. Let's say you can't attend one of the next info sessions and you want that information right now, click on the Get Involved section of that parent page and all of it is listed there. But I believe it is 20 hours per family. But I would read that page just because I wasn't thinking about volunteer hours today. So let's see. We have signed up for base. So base, if you've signed up for their waitlist, they will reach out to you directly. I do not see who is on the base waitlist because that's not run through STEM. So all communication for base needs to go through Amy Dupays. So for kindergarten, Spartan Launch over those 3 days, and you need to sign up for it. That is where your students will be assessed by the teachers, okay? You will not know who your kindergarten teacher is until later that week. I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to please read the Kindergarten Spartan Launch post because all the answers to your questions should be in there, and how each, and how Kindergarten Spartan Launch will run. So for 7th grade, there's a question about laptops for specific grades. Students in grades 6 through 12, the responsibility of the laptop purchase is on the family. Now, if you are part of free and reduced lunch, we will offer those families the opportunity to get a free laptop through us as long as their student stays a student at STEM. For 1st graders, there's no requirement for a laptop. I believe kindergarten and 1st grade uses iPads, which are provided in the classroom. Please check out that technology page as it pertains to the difference between Canvas and Infinite Campus. okay? Because there is a difference between what students have access to and what parents have access to. So please spend some time and familiarize yourself with that page. Okay, let me get back to that chat box and see what other questions there have. So kindergarten Spartan Launch sign up is not done through Express Check-in. Okay, so please go to our website, stemk12.org. You'll see Kindergarten Spartan Launch in the rotator. You're going to want to click on that article. Your other option, and let me just put this out there. If you are not receiving our parent newsletter, okay, please sign up for that. That is on the Get Connected page of our parent section of our website. It's also the last article in the rotator on the homepage. Okay, you can sign up for our newsletter, make sure that you are getting that. That is where all of the information for a good majority of these questions are in there. And then that's how we're going to be pushing out the majority of our communications throughout the school year. What other questions can I answer? Well, I want to thank those of you who have joined today. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know this went over by about almost 20 minutes, and so I appreciate your patience. I know this is a lot of information. The start of the school year, it feels like a lot. We are here to help you, but one of the things that we are providing you with a lot of information so that you can also have it right at your fingertips and you can get those answers right away so that you're not waiting for us to respond back to you. So just keep that in mind. These first few weeks we're helping onboard new teachers, especially this week. New teachers started yesterday. All teachers are back today. More staff returns tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot of times where we can't respond right away. And that's why it's really important that you know where to find the information so that we're not holding you up in that particular process. There's a question about elementary and secondary drop-off and pickup. Is that in regards to Driveline? Okay, that would take me a whole nother hour to go over. So please go to the website and reference the presentation that I did yesterday. Unfortunately, going through both of those would take a really long time. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions once you go through that presentation. And then there was another question about you haven't relocated yet to Denver, and does attendance apply from the first day of school? And I answered that earlier. Yes, it does start. If your student is enrolled at STEM, attendance starts on the first day of school. So if your kiddo will not be here on the first day of school, you need to call that attendance line. If you know that they're not going to be here for an extended period of time to start the school year, we need to be informed of that in advance so that we can not only prepare the teacher, but that we can also help the student with onboarding to coming back to school. And again, if it's over those 10 days, then you want to make sure that we complete that extended absence form. Yes.
Nicole, I just wanted to thank you again for everything that you're doing in these meetings. I mean, it's so much information and so many questions that you have to keep repeating, but you're just so patient with us. So thank you so much for all you do.
Oh, not a problem at all. And because you never know when people join and when they, and I'm not going back and checking when they wrote the question. So I just want to make sure that I am, and everybody's question can be somewhat unique. So don't feel like you're asking something dumb or anything like that. I'm happy to answer those questions, but sometimes I will point you where to find it because my explanation might be a little lengthy. I think, Yelena, is that correct? Did you have a question? I see you unmuted. Okay. Oh, All right, it doesn't look like there are any more questions. So I am going to go ahead and end today's information session. I truly appreciate you all attending. If you have any follow-up questions to this where you can't find the information either in our website, the newsletters, presentations, please feel free to email communications@stemk12.org. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.